190 feet long. A steam engine with its single smokestack powered two big propellers. Steamer Tahoe had a lucrative contract to deliver the U.S. mail throughout the basin. In the mid-30s, the mail contract was awarded to another firm, and the Tahoe fell upon hard times. The Bliss family, not wanting to see their ship picked apart by vandals or sold for scrap, decided to send her to the bottom where no further harm could befall the elegant lady. Late one night, the sea cocks were opened, water began to flood her compartments, and the steamer Tahoe slipped silently from sight to her watery grave. Using sophisticated GPS tracking equipment linked to a satellite, the Echo 5 anchored directly over the site that was believed to be her final resting place at the mouth of Glenbrook Bay. The ship's depth finder indicated it was 372 feet to the bottom. Slowly, we descended away from the bottom of our boat toward what we hoped would be the wreck of the steamer Tahoe. At this depth, it was nearly pitch black. We activated the onboard quartz lights to help find our way. The lake bottom looked extremely flat. Nothing but sediment in every direction. We turned the ROV about and set it on a course toward the large object we had detected on the bottom. There, just ahead, we saw her ominous shadow. The ship was gigantic. She lay flat upon the side of a rising slope, listing slightly to the port side. Her bow was high and faced back uphill toward the Glenbrook shore, where she had first been launched. At 372 feet, there was just enough ambient light from overhead to silhouette the hull. The stern of the ship lay downhill. Near the bow, we encountered the twisted remains of the top deck railing. It had been ripped from the hull by previous salvagers who were using our grappling hook from the surface. Even in her silent resting place, they had attempted to scavenge away the dignity of this proud lady of the lake. As we worked around to the bow of the ship, we discovered a long trench-like depression leading uphill, away from the keel. When the Tahoe had settled to the bottom, she had slid downhill with her stern in the lead, leaving this distinct skid mark in front of the bow. In 50 years, little had happened to change the original point of impact. In another 500 years, this depression would fill with sediment and vanish from view. The steel bow line of the ship was severely bent. It had likely been caused by accidentally running into a dock. In those days, it was popular to design ships with a long, sleek profile so they could slice knife edge through the water with little resistance. As we came over the top of the railing, the foredeck stretched out into the darkness. The forward cargo boom rose vertically off the deck. It struck a mysterious silhouette in the gloomy light. The big steel anchor ties were still affixed to the deck. They were used to secure the bow lines. On the starboard side, the bow line tow rope was still hanging over the side, just as it was when the ship was sent to the bottom. Cosmetically, the steamer Tahoe was in excellent condition. On the side, her name could still be plainly read. In the center of the deck, the windlass, once used to hoist cargo in and out of the forward hold, was quite stout and ready. Except for minor sediment dust, the Tahoe's wooden plank decking appeared to be in good condition. Behind the windlass lay an open hatch which led to the forward chain and anchor locker. It was an open door that needed no further invitation. Using the larger ROV as a monitoring post, ROV operator Mike Lowther began the delicate and dangerous task of slipping his smaller system through the open hatch and into the ship's hold. Should the ROV's umbilical cord become snared inside, we could possibly lose the entire system underwater forever. Inside, small particles of oxidation had formed along the metal surfaces. The anchor and chain still lay coiled in the corner. They would never be needed again. But the ROV's thrusters kicked up a hurricane of sediment. It soon became difficult to see anything. Fearing the loss of our system, we beat a hasty retreat. We came out and continued to work along the side of the ship. Glass in the portholes reflected our light back into the camera. When the ship went down, trapped air inside the captain's quarters had virtually blown the wheelhouse off the main deck. The foundation was all that remained. The Tahoe's distinctive single-funnel smokestack was still in place, though it had been dented by the salvager's grappling hook near the top. Curiously, we elevated over the top and peered into the open funnel. Facing forward, the bow stretched uphill, providing a dynamic view of the ship. We continued our exploration of the Tahoe, moving along the side railing. We were fascinated by the wooden architectures of the windows and doors. How many early-day pioneers had gazed out through these same windows as they crossed the lake? The door was ajar, so we decided to give it a nudge. Remarkably, it opened effortlessly. On the starboard side, forward of the engine compartment, were the entrance to the galley. We slipped through a narrow passage to peer inside. Those huge white cylinders were the air intake ducts. On top of the ship, these open air ducts sent fresh air down to the engine compartment. Over the engine compartment, the summer vent window had been left open. It was difficult to see, but inside, a myriad of steam pipes led from the main boiler. Behind the engine room, restrooms were on the other side of the bulkhead. The roof had probably been ripped off by the salvagers or during the sinking. The toilet seat had been left in the up position. One of the crew remarked that no doubt a man was obviously the last one to use the facilities. The wash basin still had the old-style faucet handles. There were organisms forming on the undersides, but everything else was still in remarkably good condition. Slowly, we made our way toward the stern of the ship. When the Tahoe sank, the rear of the ship took the brunt of the impact. carved up a large pile of sediment off the bottom, apparently severing the rudder and burying the two propellers. As we came about on the other side, we discovered the very top of the port side propeller blades still protruding from the sand. The initial impact from the sinking ship had bent it back forward into the wooden hull. There had been several endeavors to raise the steamer Tahoe, but each had failed before it began. With the rear hull and the propeller so deeply buried, it would be like trying to remove a steel bar embedded in solid concrete. On the fantail, just beneath the railing, you could still read her name, Tahoe, home port, Glenbrook. In all, the steamer Tahoe was still in remarkably good condition, but it seemed like the grand lady of the lake had in fact made her final port of call in Glenbrook Bay, a silent, watery grave at the bottom of Lake Tahoe. We had barely scratched the surface of what still could be discovered. The early steamships Meteor and the Nevada were still out there somewhere, on the bottom of the lake, waiting to be rediscovered. We had only seen a trifling of what might still be under the waves of this magnificent alpine lake. How many more treasures lay hidden from view, just out of reach in the silent blue? Perhaps some things were destined to always remain a mystery. Sunken treasures, buried for eternity at the bottom of Lake Tahoe. For Skyfire, I'm John Tyson. Thanks for watching.